Have you ever wondered how one city stopped the most powerful army in Europe? In 1942, Adolf Hitler stood at the height of his power. Nazi Germany had conquered much of Europe, and millions of German soldiers were pushing deep into the Soviet Union. Many believed Germany's victory was only a matter of time. But on the western bank of the Volga River stood a city that refused to surrender. Its name was Stalingrad, and before the battle ended, it would become the graveyard of an entire German army and one of the greatest turning points of World War II. After failing to capture Moscow in 1941, Hitler changed his strategy. Instead of attacking the Soviet capital again, he turned his attention to southern Russia. His new objective was clear: seize the rich oil fields of the Caucasus. Germany desperately needed fuel to keep its tanks, aircraft, and trucks moving. Without oil, the war could not be won. This massive offensive became known as Operation Blue. Standing between Hitler's army and the oil fields was Stalingrad. The city stretched along the Volga River, one of the Soviet Union's most important transportation routes. Weapons, food, fuel, and reinforcements traveled along this river to support the Red Army. Capturing the city would weaken Soviet supply lines while protecting Germany's advance into the south. There was also another reason. The city carried the name of Soviet leader Joseph Stalin. Hitler believed capturing Stalingrad would deliver a devastating psychological blow to the Soviet Union and prove that Germany could not be stopped. In the summer of 1942, the German Sixth Army, commanded by General Friedrich Paulus, advanced toward the city. It was one of Germany's finest armies, experienced from years of successful campaigns across Europe. On August 23, the Luftwaffe launched a massive air assault. Hundreds of bombers filled the sky, dropping thousands of tons of explosives. Within hours, entire neighborhoods disappeared beneath fire and smoke. Factories, homes, schools, and hospitals collapsed into rubble. Tens of thousands of civilians were killed during the first days of the attack. Yet the destruction created an unexpected problem for the Germans. Instead of clearing a path for tanks and vehicles, the ruined buildings formed countless defensive positions. Every collapsed wall became cover. Every basement became a bunker. Every shattered factory became a fortress. Joseph Stalin understood that losing the city would be both a military and symbolic disaster. He ordered that Stalingrad must be defended at all costs. To lead the defense, the Soviet command appointed General Vasily Chukov, a determined officer who believed the only way to survive was to fight as close to the enemy as possible. His strategy denied Germany the full power of its artillery and air force. If Soviet soldiers stayed only a few meters from German positions, bombers could not attack without risking their own troops. Soon, the battle changed completely. There were no clear front lines. Every street became a battlefield. Every apartment block became a fortress. German and Soviet soldiers fought room by room, floor by floor, and sometimes even through holes blasted in the walls. A building captured in the morning might be lost by evening, only to be retaken again the next day. Among the fiercest battles was the struggle for the Red October factory. Once filled with workers and machinery, it became a maze of twisted steel, broken concrete, and burning debris. Soldiers fired at each other from only a few steps away, using rifles, grenades, and sometimes even shovels when ammunition ran out. Another legendary position was Pavlov's house, an ordinary apartment building transformed into a heavily defended stronghold. A small group of Soviet soldiers held the building for weeks despite repeated German attacks, proving that determination could sometimes outweigh superior firepower. As autumn gave way to winter, conditions became even more brutal. Temperatures dropped below freezing, food grew scarce, and thousands of wounded soldiers remained trapped inside ruined buildings. Civilians hiding in cellars struggled to survive as explosions echoed above them day and night. Despite months of relentless fighting, the Germans still failed to capture the entire city. Every victory came at a terrible cost, and every street demanded more lives than the last. While the German Sixth Army focused everything on crushing the defenders inside Stalingrad, the Soviet High Command was quietly preparing a counterattack that would shock the world. The hunters were about to become the hunted. On the morning of November 19, 1942, the silence beyond Stalingrad was broken by thousands of Soviet artillery guns. But instead of striking the strongest German positions inside the city, the Red Army attacked the weaker Romanian and Hungarian forces guarding the German flanks. The operation was called Operation Uranus, and it had been planned in complete secrecy. Within hours, Soviet tanks and infantry began breaking through the thin defensive lines. The attacks came from the north and the south at the same time. German commanders were caught by surprise. As the Soviet forces advanced deeper into enemy territory, the two attacking groups moved steadily toward each other. Just 4 days later, they met near the town of Kalach. The trap had closed. More than 250,000 German and Axis soldiers, including the entire German Sixth Army, were now surrounded inside and around Stalingrad. Their supply routes were cut, and escape became almost impossible. General Friedrich Paulus understood the danger immediately. Many of his officers urged him to break out before the encirclement became stronger. At that moment, there was still a chance that a determined attack might save part of the army. But Adolf Hitler refused. From his headquarters, he ordered the Sixth Army to hold its ground. Retreat, he insisted, was not an option. He promised that the trapped soldiers would be supplied by air until relief forces arrived. It was a promise that could never be kept. Hermann Göring, commander of the German Air Force, claimed that the Luftwaffe could deliver everything the army needed. In reality, the aircraft available were far too few, the weather was terrible, and Soviet fighters and anti-aircraft guns made every flight dangerous. The Sixth Army required hundreds of tons of food, fuel, ammunition, and medical supplies every day. Only a small fraction reached the surrounded troops. As winter tightened its grip, conditions became unbearable. Temperatures fell far below freezing. Soldiers wrapped themselves in blankets, curtains, and whatever clothing they could find. Horses were slaughtered for food. Fuel ran out, leaving vehicles abandoned in the snow. Hospitals overflowed with wounded men suffering from frostbite, disease, and starvation. Many soldiers no longer fought for victory. They fought simply to survive another day. Outside the pocket, Germany launched a rescue attempt, but Soviet resistance stopped the advance before it could reach the trapped army. Hope slowly disappeared. By January 1943, Soviet forces launched the final offensive against the exhausted defenders. The German lines collapsed sector by sector. Ammunition was nearly gone, food had almost disappeared, and thousands of soldiers were too weak to continue fighting. On January 30th, Hitler promoted Friedrich Paulus to the rank of Field Marshal. No German Field Marshal had ever surrendered, and Hitler expected Paulus to fight to the death. Instead, reality left him with no choice. On January 31st, Paulus surrendered the southern pocket of the Sixth Army. 2 days later, on February 2, 1943, the remaining German forces laid down their weapons. The Battle of Stalingrad was over. The cost was almost impossible to comprehend. Across both sides, military and civilian casualties reached well over 1 million people. Much of the city had been reduced to ruins. Thousands of families had been destroyed, and countless lives were changed forever. Yet the significance of Stalingrad reached far beyond the shattered streets of one city. For the first time, an entire German field army had been destroyed. The myth of Germany's unstoppable advance was broken. From that moment, the Soviet Union seized the initiative on the Eastern Front, forcing German forces into a long retreat that would eventually end in Berlin in 1945. Historians often describe Stalingrad as the turning point of World War II in Europe, not simply because Germany lost a battle, but because it lost the momentum it had built since the beginning of the war. The courage of the defenders, the determination of the Soviet counteroffensive, and the costly decisions made by both sides transformed Stalingrad into one of history's defining battles. Today, the ruins have been rebuilt, but the lessons remain. The Battle of Stalingrad reminds us that wars are not decided by ambition alone. They are shaped by leadership, endurance, sacrifice, and the extraordinary resilience of ordinary people caught in unimaginable circumstances. In the frozen streets beside the Volga River, the course of World War II changed forever, and the echoes of that battle continue to remind the world of the true cost of war.